What a somber day today is. What a day I didn't expect to have. What a day I don't think any of us expected to have. Anyone that's listening, anyone that can hear the sound of my voice, one, I'm grateful. So thank you for being here. Whether you're hearing this live, whether you're hearing this close to live, and or in retrospect, I am very, very, very grateful for your voice because there's a lot happening in the world right now. There is a lot happening in the world right now, but we are on the air because for no other reasons can we be without breath anymore. So with that being said, today is June 1st, 2020. 1st June beginning of a new decade. Beginning of Pride Month for many. Beginning of Black Music Month for many others. Just another day for a lot more. Right now, I am joined by one of the closest people, one of my biggest inspirations, my little older brother, Kendrick Day, who I love very much. Feel free. Is that
Hi. That was the introduction.
Yes. Yes. That's what we call an introduction. This episode has been recorded many times. This is in transition. Seriously, the 4th time. But the world is literally changing at rapid fire. Things are burning. Things are crazy. Things are bizarre. It's not unordinary because this, unfortunately, is something that we know and have felt as people all too often for far too long. But right now, I am without the ability to not have something to say. And so today, right now, we will take the time to, we will utilize our energies to focus on aspects of resistance in pop music, aspects of love and melancholy and woe and transition, because we don't know how to feel right now. And far too often has pop music been given the credit with being too cheesy and too gourmet. But sometimes pop music was unsure, and sometimes pop music is hopeful in times of besmirch. So, June 1st, 2020. It's been 10 years. The first thing on my mind is Robin and the iconic song Dancing on My Own. And I want to start the conversation there before we take it many other places. So, Dancing on My Own. Dancing on My Own. Robin's, I feel like now it's her anthem. It is her, Dancing on My Own has become her kind of magnum opus as far as pop single goes. You don't think so? What do you think?
I disagree.
You think? Okay, tell me, Kendrick.
I think for me personally, it's Call Your Girlfriend. Like that's, Dancing on My Own is a perfect pop song too, but like, I don't know, I think I just have more reverence for Call Your Girlfriend.
But you think in a grand pop scale, there's weight between Call Your Girlfriend and Dancing on My Own?
Yes, the Cascade remix of Call Your Girlfriend is the perfect pop song. Like, I would put
bigger
that
bigger than the original radio version.
Now here's the thing.
Here's
the thing. Bigger is different than favorite.
No, right. No,
Some
it's not a question of favorite now because it's the anniversary of Dancing.
If we're talking about bigger, that's just based on impact and charts.
Okay,
I can't compete with that.
Well, see, I'm not even going impact and charts because the irony of Dancing on My Own is the fact that it didn't chart on Billboard.
Most of her singles don't chart.
Exactly, most of her singles don't chart. The top chart for Dancing on My Own on Billboard was number 3 on the dance club charts. And it charted on there, I believe, for 13 weeks on the dance club charts. And it didn't even peak at number 1. It peaked at number 3 the week of, July 17th? I know this for recent research. I also kind of knew this in general.
They have it as number one, but it was number one in Sweden.
Yeah. It wasn't number one U.S.
Yeah,
Billboard,
they need to
like
stop.
terrestrial Billboard.
Because they put the U.S. charts at the end, and none of them charted in the U.S.
Yeah, I don't think she's ever had. I think in her original era, in the '90s, she had a single or
Do It
two
Again charted at 16.
Not on Billboard though. Still
That's
the dance
U.S.
club.
Dance.
See,
that's how they keep tricking me.
That's the specificity.
That is.
Robin ends up holding a category of being dance music. She's never charted Billboard as a pop act domestically. She ends up holding this very unique space in pop music to where
I love Ever Again. Ever Again.
Oh yeah, another strong record, another really strong record. But no, so that's why I am interested in looking at her music, at her.
Only the old stuff.
Only the old stuff. Only the original old stuff.
Which I just found out about yesterday.
Yesterday. You never heard. Wait, did you listen to "Show Me Love" yesterday?
I did, but it was the "Show Me Love" that I thought by the Robin that I know.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe it could be the same thing, but it was not.
It was not the same thing.
I was bamboozled. I listened to 10 seconds and I was like, no. I took my headphones off and no.
I remember that song. That song was big for the time. It was big for the occasion. You know, it was
number 7.
Yeah, it was the moment.
That and Do You Know What It Takes?
Yes. Do You Know What It Takes?
Another song I've never heard.
It wasn't as big as "Show Me Love," and it didn't have as much repetition, I think, on charts. But I do think, it was another song that performed for her. It's one that I remember. I know a lot of other people that remember that era for Robin and were introduced to her then remember that.
This was also 96, 97. Yeah, I never...
Velvet Rope era. It was a specific time.
That's what I'm saying. I also was in a very, R&B, hip-hop time in that time, too. Okay. Because when I think of the albums around that time, I'm thinking, what I was listening to, Foxy Brown, Lil' Kim. My mom was always into, she liked R&B, so it was, Mary J. Blige. SWV, stuff like that. She didn't really I like to say showy girl kind of girl group. So she never, or girls singers. So she liked the rugged girl. So she liked the Mary J. Blige, but she never liked the TLC or an En Vogue. I would like those type of girls. Okay. But to this day,
what about the showy girls, the Mariahs, the Whitneys, the Celines?
She liked the Whitney. I love the Celine. She hates Mariah Carey. My mom to this day still does not like Mariah Carey.
Okay, can we unpack that? Does that have any?
I don't know origin? What it is. It can't. I don't understand what it is. She liked Whitney. One of my first concerts I ever went to was Whitney Houston.
Okay, what tour?
I don't know, but this lady showed up so late. We waited so long.
Wait. Try to recall the age.
This was definitely early 90s.
Okay.
This was early 90s.
Okay.
And then when she finally showed up, she showed up on a helicopter.
Okay. Is this American Airlines or?
No,
Center?
This is before. So we have the American Airlines, a new one.
Yeah.
But we have an older one. They're right next to each other, actually still. But I don't think that was there. I think that was in Fort Lauderdale. That was one of my first concerts. That and Patti LaBelle. And the Patti LaBelle was a good experience. Not that Whitney wasn't a good experience. My main thing I remember is that she showed up late as fuck.
Yeah.
But Patti...
That's important. That's important here. We care about shows and showmanship. And
I mean, when she showed up, she obviously she sung her butt off, but she was chilling. But Patti, there's a moment where she asked for people to bring her stuff, and I was the one. They lifted me up and I gave her a rose. I don't know where that picture is.
A single red rose?
Yeah. Because she wants people to give her roses in the crowd.
Yeah.
But I was one of the ones. That was those were two of my first concerts. I don't know time-wise what was the first one. I forgot how we even started talking about this.
No, just shows and the experience of shows.
Because we started talking about Robin first.
Yes, and no, we're gonna tie it all in because even the idea of resistance and their music and how it presents, it's a very specific day, it's a very specific time for all of this to be occurring, for us to be recording. We'll be publishing soon. Like I previously stated, this is the 4th time I'm recording this particular episode, but I don't want the day I finally announced to everyone that this is coming out, that this is something that I want to share with the world. I want to begin a conversation, and I do want it to be a conversation. Actually, this podcast can be responded to via Anchor. For anyone listening to this app, you can actually download the Anchor app yourself, ANCHOR.FM. It's a purple app. You can download it, and once you download it, you are actually able to submit voice messages to me. Therefore, you can respond to everything I'm saying. I want to continue this conversation. If you have something to say about Whitney Houston and or Patti LaBelle and or the idea of it's January 1st, 2010, as this is being presented, anytime between now, the following episode, even future episodes, if you're listening to this in retrospect and you just want to start from the beginning, please let us know how you feel about this day, about this time. What does this mean to you? How does this make you feel? It still matters. It's still important. And I want to know. So feel free to download the Anchor app, ANCHOR. Again, it is a purple app. Feel free to respond to everything that we're saying now, later. I want to hear from you. That's why we're recording. That's why we're re-recording, because time is of the essence. Every day is different. Tomorrow is not promised. So, we talked about Robin. The conversation swung around to Patti LaBelle and your first live shows. I love that. My very first live show. I'm kind of hesitant to mention, but my very original first show was a Little Romeo show.
I was about to say Little Bow Wow.
Mine was Little Romeo.
I was about to guess Little Bow Wow.
It was a Little Romeo show that a cousin of mine took me to, and yeah, I think maybe 4 or 5 of us went, and that was my first show. I've since gone to 200 shows. I've never seen Little Romeo again live. I don't even know if he toured.
He performed after that.
I am. Listen.
You caught the last go round.
The great. It wasn't the Scream tour, but people were screaming. But no, so that was the first show. The last show to date has been Lion Babe. That was the last show. Lion Babe in November, where I wore the all day piece.
Mm-hmm.
Pieces, multiple pieces, the fringe and everything.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot. I don't go to shows as much as I used to back in my younger days. Too much.
Long time ago.
It's a decade. It's cool. Time is relative. But that was when I would go to shows heavy. Like, the last show I actually went was obviously something you took me to or dragged me to. Not that I didn't enjoy it. Was Azalea. That was the last show I saw.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun show.
That was fun. It was a good show. We got there at the perfect time. Her set was like the perfect amount of time, I think. It was just enough, but it wasn't too much. And I like that place.
Yeah, $3 bill in Brooklyn.
That place.
Right. I'm laughing at the Brooklyn of it all.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only place there. But that was my last show.
That was a fun show. Oliver was with us for that
Mm-hmm.
show. We got there when she got there.
We thought we were late and we thought we missed everything. And this lady came in right behind us. We haven't even took off our coats yet. She was right. I was like, oh, we came at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Literally, she was walking in right behind us.
That was a great show.
Yeah, but that was the last live show I saw. I do want to go shows. I do like going to. Even now, what I would still like to go to is I like going to like raves or like dance shows. Mm-hmm. If we ever could go outside again, I want to do more of that. Like more raves, more like dance parties, more DJ focused shows.
Go to them and also put them on.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah,
that too.
Playlist parties, silent, headphone parties. I love those ideas.
I've seen those. I haven't gone to one yet, but I have seen those. But I just like I do miss. That's one of the things that we talked about. I miss going out and just dancing, being drunk and silly.
Ah, drunk and silly in public.
In public, out.
The idea that that's immediately of the past.
Yeah, it and you know, it was easier. You know, it was. I think you're one of my extroverted friends. All of my friends are extroverted. All of y'all are, and I love y'all for that. Even when people see me with y'all, they think I'm extroverted because I'm like, no, that's just how I am with my friends.
Yeah.
No, I'm truly an introvert. But it was easier for me to kind of get used to not going out. But when it did hit me, I was like, yo, I do. Now that I want to go out, I'm like, I can't. But I know you was feeling it like the first.
I felt it immediately, and then there's been a hush in the last few weeks because I've been focusing on projects and ideas and really zoning in and honing in on concepts. Mm-hmm. But in the beginning, yes, there was a sharp curve that took a moment to acclimatize, I will say.
Yeah, no, it was when it hit me, it was like, it also made me realize what my limits are. I was like, oh, it's so we're the same. It's just it takes me longer to to hit me, you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's something I cannot wait to experience, like being able to be in the club or like on the dance floor and feeling people sweat and like hearing music and lights and like glitter everywhere
and the pulsating, just that energy
and the boom.
Yes. And speaking of that, for the next segment, we're going to go into songs and moments that we are excited to dance to again on the dance floor and right now in anticipation for that moment again. Stay tuned. On the air, we're together on Kyere. Hey guys, it's Kyere. I want to thank you for, first of all, listening to On the Air, and second of all, would just love to let you know that how I was actually able to get this idea in my head to On the Air. So, let me tell you about this awesome platform that is known as Anchor. You may have used the platform before for other podcasts, or you might have been your first time now for my show. But let me just tell you, it's super awesome, super effective, and can get you from zero to published in literal minutes. Let me tell you how. All you have to do is download the Anchor app in the App Store of your choice, or go to the website. That's anchor.fm, Anchor. Once you get there, create your login by using either Google or your social media handles and just plug in the information. It's as simple as that. If you can fill out a quick form online, or if you can fill out that voting ballot when it's time to rock the vote this 2020 election, you can definitely take 10 seconds to start an awesome new podcast, to share ideas, bridge gaps, bridge and build communities. So, all you have to do again, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started to see, hey, this too can be for you. Peace.
You wanna ride it? Open my closed doors. I'm yours to explore. You understand, don't you? There's something you need. I want you. Do you want me? Sex, lies, and videos. Sex, lies, and videos.
You know what I'm really excited for though? Just like, even though it's the start of Pride Month and it's a new world happening. I mean, every day it feels like we're saying it's a new day, it's a new world, it's a new time. And in many respects, I feel like that's accurate. But honestly, this feels different. Like, this genuinely feels different.
Mm-hmm. What feels different?
I don't know. Maybe because the dynamics, like the multitude of the dynamics, are greater. Like, there's extreme violence in the street. There's extreme visual representation of it. But then there's also extreme knowledge and then extreme awareness of the dynamics of it that's very different. Maybe versus how before it's happened. Mm-hmm. Like, protesting is not foreign to us. The idea of resistance, the idea of evolution, the idea of revolt, the concepts of retaliation against like oppressive systems, that's not new. That doesn't feel foreign. But the access that we have to each other during a time as such, and like, I don't know, like it feels different now when people are like, how can you post about other things but this, or how can you do other things and worry about this? That look like that, like certain pieces of it feel different, or maybe they just feel different now because of the awareness, or I don't know. For me, there's a difference in how it's translating, or maybe I feel different in it now that I'm vulnerable with releasing something.
I think it's so. I would say so when this happened before, right? Which is crazy that I could even say that. When this happened before, it was the first time I moved to New York, and a lot of those feelings that you're having, I was feeling those same things of like guilt of like, because in general, like I'm not. Here's a reality, right? Unless everybody's on board with we're burning the government down and we all are outside. Me personally, I cannot. That's not my personality. Okay. I hate crowds, like it's loudness. It's just I don't like uncertainty. But I think so I felt a lot of what you're feeling, where it's like you feel like a little guilt, a little bit, right? But this time around, I feel a little better because one, seeing that it gets better each time, like they've gotten a lot more organized this time. Mm-hmm. But then also that's. My part doesn't have to be the people in the street. I'm so grateful for those people that they, whatever their intentions are out there and like, being the catalyst for stuff like that. The only thing I can do is like, I am like fortunate enough to still be able to work. So I'm able to like put money on like the donate to the fund things. That's the only thing I can do. Yeah. And then bring awareness on my platforms. But also I can't, you're not Superman. It's like, and also people, I think people have more leniency for us. And when I say us, I mean black people in general. Because there's no playbook, there's no rule book for this, for what's going on. Because we're at one point being asked to like step up. But then also, I don't think anyone's talking about what this does to us psychologically and mentally. And you know what I'm saying? Like, just seeing this stuff on loop all the time too. So it's like, if you want to just turn it off and just go to sleep, like I don't fault you for it. Like I don't fault anybody for it, like how they are coping with this, because it's like it's craziness. Yeah. And I'm literally just talking about just this one thing of the police brutality right now in this moment in time, but also this whole year has been crazy. I feel like
extreme excessive, like
yeah, and back to back.
Everything is.
This would normally be 1 year.
Yes,
like one of those events would be 1 year. One of those crazy events. We had back to back an onslaught of, I mean, the craziest kind of shit you could think of.
On what we thought would be a very different year, I feel like across the board, or at least it. I don't know. 2019 didn't necessarily predict success or immediate turnaround or harvest for 2020. But it didn't give further sudden death.
Well, some of these astrology people I follow were talking about that they were like, yeah, this year, y'all think 2019 was bad, 2020 is good. Like, they said it. They're like, these months are like, because the stars were pointing to a lot of that stuff.
I should have gotten more readings.
Huh?
I should have been privy to more readings.
I mean, I just followed them, so I've been talking. I would see a lot of the conversation because there was a point where everybody was really hopeful, like everybody else. Mm-hmm. So half of my timeline was that, but then the other half was the astrology people. Was like, no, I'm looking at these charts, baby. It's not looking good. But yeah, I think there's room. I think there's room for everything right now because it's like there's no rule book for.
We're all
how to engage.
Going back to first premise and topic. We're all dancing on our own. Mm-hmm. Melancholic and hopeful, but dancing on our
own. I would say hopeful though.
Yeah. I love chaos because it intrinsically
such an Aquarius.
It intrinsically brings about change. I mean, what can I say? It really, truly brings about change. Anarchy, chaos, the idea of things being dismantled and reconstructed by just default because it's not the same that it was once before. I can't help but be obsessed with what that presents. And, hopefully the access and the exhaustion that we feel from being so overly exposed to the new things that we can't escape at this point. Hopefully now we do something about it and we really turn this into something new versus because it's enough to be sick and tired, but when does our generation really call that moment?
I mean, I feel like this feels a little different too. I mean, I don't know if it's that people are mad enough. I think that's all it's ever going to take is people to get mad enough and then realize it's more of us than it is of them always. But there is like a hopefulness to it. Also, because it's like when I think of the last time this happened, like I don't know, it's so many like countless.
It's like which time?
Yeah, almost. Which time? But I do remember, and that might have been Trayvon. But it didn't. While I remember there being protests and people were enraged and engaged and in tune, it didn't feel as big as this.
No, and this is with the added frustration that we've all been in the house.
And I think that's what it is too.
No, everyone's pent up. There's so much frustration. Everyone has delayed so many things, or so many things have inadvertently been delayed because. I mean, people just can't do things. There's no access. Like,
and then also they can't stopped. Work even if they want to.
Exactly. Everything has stopped unless there's physical, direct demand for you to be somewhere. And so, hell yeah, we're over it. Hell yeah, people, like, even with, like I said, this is the fourth time recording this. I even feel some way about how it gets presented. It's kind of a somber opening, but I do want to begin that conversation. The idea is that this is the beginning of Pride Month. This is the June 1st of a new decade. It's such an integral and intersectional point of history and music, and I really want to examine music, pop music in particular, as resistance music, or the idea that optimism can, in the face of adversity and in the face of direct opposition, be something that we escape to and something that we look forward to help us fight these battles. And so thinking about Robin's Dancing on My Own and thinking about the idea of Body Talk Part 1 and even further tracks from there, because I love Dancing on My Own, and that's kind of how we started with the conversation. But even Don't Fucking Tell Me What to Do, the Body Talk Part 1 intro is I till this day, everything, my back is killing me, the TV is killing me, the radio is killing me. I love the idea of that as something that people can go to and use as a resistance. Fembots, the idea of like, that's just perfect. And so, yeah, between Robin, the anniversary of that project, and those songs in particular, this new Gaga era that I feel like is right on time when I was actually very worried. The interview she did on Beats One had me very anxious.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it either, and it had me very anxious. But when I heard the album, I was just like, oh.
She's an artist for me that, like,
And I guess that can lead us right into talking about Chromatica, because I definitely wanted to talk about it because, what a refresh. And
it's really good, though.
Yeah, it's like, thank you. Gaga needed a refresh. She needed a healthy... For me in particular, I'll announce and I'll state that Lady Gaga in the last few years and eras, it's been kind of a waning existence. But with Chromatica, I have been renewed. I will sing the praises of. This is an album that I do believe can stand for a few years and can hold its own in her catalog.
To me, it's already a part of the Holy Trinity of her albums.
Okay, does it fulfill the Trinity, or is there space? Where does it go?
I think it completes the Trinity.
Okay. So there's Chromatica. What else for the Trinity?
So it depends on what you want to say, right?
All right,
I think
you're telling me we're on the air. For your Trinity, for it, and I will.
For me personally,
show me yours and I'll show you mine.
It's already Fame Monster. That's a perfect album to me.
Gotcha.
Fame Monster. Yes. I would put Art Pop.
Okay.
And then I would put Chromatica too.
Okay.
I think other fans would put Born This Way.
No, I asked you what you want. We didn't.
I mean, I think that's because she's an interesting artist in that sense that everybody has very strong opinions. Mm-hmm. About her.
Agreed.
And they're all over the place, I think. But it also speaks to who she is as an artist. We were talking earlier how we didn't even realize that what is the movie? The movie with Bradley Cooper. A Star Is Born.
Yes, A Star Is Born.
I didn't. We were talking earlier.
Songs, yes.
Yeah, that's a whole era for her that we don't even. I forget that even.
Yeah, no, because even to this day, I haven't played that album soundtrack fully through, but I knew that there were pop songs on it. There were pop songs because literally one day, and this is so ironic, I was out and one of the songs was playing, and I Shazammed it, and it was A Star Is Born soundtrack, and I saw that and I said, "Oh,"
I was shocked,
and I never went back. But I remember the song. I Shazammed it in public, so I thought it was something. So I retained how I felt initially, emotionally, but I didn't go back and replay it. I didn't go back and search for it. I didn't go back and try to relive that moment. And so, I'm not surprised that there were other bops on there. I saw it in theaters, fell asleep, I told you, I saw Shangela twice. That's all I needed. My name is Shangela. She worked it. I saw her red pussycat wig. That was it. That's all I needed. But when considering the idea of Chromatica in the trilogy of Gaga, for me, it actually fits into my perfect trilogy for Gaga also. So I think about Chromatica. I think about The Fame. And then I also think about Art Pop. With an asterisk, though. I only listen to Art Pop when I delete the rap songs. And the ballads.
We always talk about that.
Yeah.
But then you're deleting a lot of things.
Exactly.
Also, I don't think that's the craziest thing you said.
It's not, because I feel like in the real world, if we're going with unaltered releases, it would be Fame Monster, Chromatica for me. Because
so you're putting the Fame over Fame Monster?
I pick them both over Born This Way, but I don't pick them over each other. Yeah. I think they're a solid 1-2. They're an undeniable force of pop excellence. So and I find we can consider them separately because they're 8 tracks that are not on the original project. I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
Because my early introduction and original introduction to The Fame, many people might not remember this. Few may, but most don't know that The Fame actually leaked in Canada months before it was released in the U.S. because I don't know if she did a Canadian promo tour or if this was still the era.
She was doing promo.
I think this was still the era of radio promotion, but I found out about Lady Gaga through a Stan blog site. It was a .blogspot.com blog site about pop music. They announced this new artist whose album had leaked in Canada months before the release. It was called The Fame. It was the exact same cover that we know now for The Fame, but it was a different color. If we know the blue, it's like a T-shaped line that goes through the cover. I don't know if it's a blue now, but I think the original cover I had in Canada was red. Either way, there was some slight difference with it. Mm-hmm. But I knew about that album and Lady Gaga, and there was a slightly different track listing too. 2 songs were not on there, and there was a difference. I think Starstruck wasn't on it, and I think
that was a bonus track.
Yeah, Starstruck wasn't on it, and something else wasn't on it. But the original version,
Summer Boy or Boys.
It was one of those, like, between track 9 and 14. It was a different shuffle, and so I was really just like, oh, this chick is dope. She's doing it. She's dope. It was club energy. I was excited for it. And then Just Dance dropped at top, I feel like, of that summer. Months after it had leaked in Canada, winter, spring. And the rest is history. So looking back on it, it was just the start of, like, because I felt like I came into Lady Gaga in those day one kind of stances. So it's just super emotional, one, and then super nostalgia, which you can never compete anything with nostalgia. And so the Fame, and then Fame Monster, besides Teeth, I think that's a flawless project too. I don't. Sorry, Teddy Riley, but I'm just not.
I like Teeth. I mean, there are songs that in the context of the album I listen to. I would never just go listen to it on its own. But in the context of the album, especially being at the end, I don't mind it.
Last, and it was certainly least. I don't like it.
Because everything before that was just, I mean, some of the most perfect songs.
It was going so well. I was so happy I could die.
So happy I could die. Monster. Alejandro.
It didn't Teeth. Like, it's such a bummer for an album outro of a song.
It just felt. I think it felt a little misplaced. But that's also Gaga's albums. Every album, it's very like a mixed bag of like. Maybe just the track listing would have been different. Maybe the song we talk about, even Chromatica, the single choices were like. Yeah. Honestly, I would have been way on board if the singles would have been different. Because she really lost me with Stupid Love. I was like, I don't know.
See, she gained me back with Stupid Love.
Yeah, I remember. I was like, I'm not into it.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw that video, I was sitting in an Uber in Atlanta. And it was a shared Uber, actually, at that. And I wasn't even ashamed. And I was just like, okay, I'm here for this. And then I replayed it for other people as soon as I got to my destination. And nobody lived for it.
Yeah, no. That was the collective. It was a collective kind of like.
It was like it was a collective sigh. And the disappointment and my excitement in particular was just like, man, you were excited. What show was this? Like you stopped what we were doing because Gaga.
Is this the commercial? Where's the video you want to show us?
So okay, but I did. It reminded me. And maybe it was also in context too, because for months now I've been on this 2020. Because I do feel, and I have felt for a long time, many of you are now hearing for the first time, that 2020, as far as music goes, pop music will be made pop again. I do feel like the releases for this year and the next few years, because of how the pendulum has to swing so far left and then so far right, just for, whether you call it equilibrium, we call it balance of the cosmos, what knows. But truly understand that, like, for 2020, I've always felt that pop music is going to be pop again. Dua Lipa came out storming through in the beginning of this coronavirus season. Now we have Gaga giving us, ironically, an appropriately timed era, because I wasn't sure personally, but I don't know if no one really thought she was about to slay us with this era. And then, boom.
Eras don't even matter at this point right now. I also wanted to say too, the girl, I forget her last name, that girl Rina. She is another person I would say like is definitely bringing back that, not just like a pop sound, but like a bigger kind of pop sound, but like also kind of like where the production is very glossy.
Yeah.
Even though she gets very like experimental, but it's still very glossy, big kind of like 2000s kind of like big choruses kind of pop. But yeah, I guess back to the Chromatica. I think what's your favorite? What's your top 3 from that song?
Top 3 from the album would be Babylon, 9/11, Replay. Easy.
In which order? Because your Sun, Moon, Rising.
I don't know, because then I would still think overall favorite is 1,000 Doves, because I have to characterize 1,000 Doves uniquely, because because there are songs, right, that are referential in time, where you feel like you know exactly the essence of what this song is. But with 1,000 Doves, it's I don't know. I feel like I have a top 3, and then there's 1,000 Doves. Like there's no.
It's against the rules.
Okay. Fine. Within the parameters of the rules of the competition, I will say my top 3 are definitely. I'm gonna keep 9/11. I'm definitely gonna keep Replay. I may bounce Babylon because I did grow up on Madonna's Vogue, so.
That does give me a very Madonna. It does give me a very Madonna.
Babylon can go because of Vogue, and then we'll put in 1,000 Doves. So 1,000 Doves, 9/11 Replay are my top 3, with number 1 being 9/11 because the first time I heard that I screamed. Number 2 would be 1,000 Doves, and number 3 would be Replay.
That's interesting too, because my choices have changed over time.
Okay. Yeah, because mine are based on like first impression.
First impressions. I was Team Babylon.
Chromatica 2 dropped.
Team Babylon and Alice.
To 9/11, I remember I panted.
Also, that's a different sound for her, too, which is what I need. Which is what was my biggest gripe with the singles from this, that they're very unimaginative. Like every song has the same riser. Like, they couldn't think of any of the risers. And, like, even, like, when it gets to the actual beat drop, it's just the same kind of, like...
She did stick to it.
Huh?
She stuck to that formula.
Yeah. But 9/11 and a couple other songs where they get a little, like... different or unexpected, where I was like, okay, thank you. That's why I like 9/11 instantly, because it was... But also, that is a very Madonna song as well.
Yes.
Because Madonna has a... couple songs like that.
I mean, Madonna has everything that Gaga wants to do. That's kind of the reason for the season why we're here.
But yeah,
speaking that was of pop is resistance. You know,
she's another mixed bag. Right. That's a whole nother episode.
There are several episodes with Madonna to deal with. But no, for the purpose of today and the start of what is Pride Month, and it's also Black Music Month, and there's nothing blacker and nothing more resistant than black music at any time of the year 365, let alone the beginning of the month of June of any year. Sheesh. But no. Pop music's made pop again. 2020 is here. I've felt that for a while. That's why even thinking about somebody as melancholic as Robin, and then thinking about somebody who randomly has what feels as optimistic, but then the lyrics of their album are kind of as dark, because Gaga went through a lot of dark shit.
Oh no, that's another thing to talk about. This album the lyrics are, there's a meme that goes around with the stan communities where it's like there's a house, there's two houses next to them, and one is like a black they're two separate houses. One's like a black, all black, everything's all black with gold trimming, and then the other one's like pink, like Barbie house, and but the meme is like the meme setup is the beats and then the lyrics, or the lyrics and then the beats, and they did it with Gaga because obviously the lyrics are everyone is so dark. I didn't realize it till I really got into Sign from Above, going into 1,000 Doves. I'm like, oh, she's talking about a lot of stuff, but it's just masked with dance, like crying on the dance floor, which is one of my favorite kind of like metaphors and like things in dance music.
And see, that's why immediately my mind was drawn both between this album and directly to Dancing on My Own, because that the essence of crying on a dance floor, the essence of there's some kind of hope of letting it completely go while you're just in the center of sweat and releasing. Because that's honestly, in drawing that personal narrative, it really feels close to home. I found sanctuary in New York City in my time in this city on the dance floor. I mean, even our first time living together, and we would joke about being out all night, and we would joke about, like, we knew who wasn't coming home, and we knew who wasn't going to be there in the middle of the night. But really, that's where sanctuary and that's where first ideas of comfort in New York City were found for me, and I know for many others, was in that sweat on the dance floor, maybe for like a privacy or for like of just a space to just whatever to figure out. But if we were alone together on the dance floor, and so.
But historically, that's been the case for especially like queer people and black queer people. Like clubs and bars were our only safe spaces to kind of be yourself and express yourself however you wanted to, because everybody was kind of having to close up and be like in a rigid kind of form outside. So like clubs are this kind of like safe space, which is why I think also like we as queer men, gay men really identify with like women pop stars.
Yes,
because they're kind of the goddesses in that kind of like space that we go into. The Dianas and all of that in that era.
Listen, this whole wall over here.
Yeah, so I think it's like historically that's been our like safe space. And it's so interesting to see, like you say, like it still carries over today. Because it's our safe space. And for some people, it's the only space too. Sometimes.
No, trust me. First-hand account. Hi, my name is Kyere, and I will say, and you make it supply supporting details. It especially for introducing moments and like finding out who you are in certain spaces. If you can't, because there's only so much room for trial and error, especially in congregation with other people. So it becomes a big idea. It definitely becomes a big idea.
And finding like-minded people, because there's so many niche parties and stuff.
Wait, speaking of Popeyes, did you order the Popeyes earlier?
No.
Oh my god. Did you just order it now?
I was about to, but they want me to get the app. Okay, let me go back to where it was.
Wait, no. Oh, no, because yesterday when I went, it was because I went in store and I gave them...
No, it says you could do it here.
They give you a 15-minute redemption code.
It was there, but then it was like, let me see. They made me sign in. I don't want to sign in. I don't have to sign in. I can do what I want. Whatever. Ask Mari. Ask her, Mari. My mama can't tell me shit.
Right. I'm a grown ass woman. I do what I want.
Whatever. I do what I want.
And what's gonna happen if your mother says something?
Ask her, Mari.
Upside her head.
Ask her, Mari.
But for thinking about pop music for right now, we literally have gone on this small journey between breaks. I mean, one break we stopped, there was Popeyes. The next break we stopped just kind of reclaim some of the space and energy in the room with pop music, as we do also often alone in our headphones, as many that are listening also do, which is why I want to have this conversation. So there are a few things that I think about in terms of summer and pop music. There's always what's happening now, because every year music enthusiasts are always informed by what they think will be the song of the summer, or what songs make up that playlist that's gonna sweep award season in the fall, and or just really take over the radios and hearts and headphones during the summer months. So my early prediction for song of the summer was Say So by Doja Cat. I love the song ever since the winter when I realized that it was going to be a single. I predicted that it would have this great year, especially with that Fallon performance. I knew that would eventually come release week. They did this kind of same format with Lizzo last year when they did Juice, and I just knew that it was going to be great for Doja Cat this year. So it happened. She performed. She looked like a mix of Diana Ross and Nicki Minaj. Pink cotton candy fantasy with the cream, with that little kind of crimped middle part, Nicki Minaj STs that she always gives. And it was perfect. The song is performing well. Nicki regurgitated the version out. It went number 1. It's number 2 as we speak right now.
It's number 2?
It's number 2 this week. Megan and Beyonce's Savage remix is number 1.
Oh, they basically swapped.
Yeah, so they essentially swapped. And so that's history. And so that's there forever on the record books. So that was my early prediction for Song of the Summer. There's a segment to get to the point, there's a segment that I want to consider for this show called Niche Nostalgia. So in considering summer 2020, June 1st, beginning of Pride Month, beginning of Black Music Month, my niche nostalgia song, in addition to already Robin's Dancing on My Own, there are a couple just summer songs that I think back to. But I remember you had one earlier when we talked about
I have a whole list of summer songs.
Oh, well, like specific niche nostalgia songs that put you in that certain headspace.
For summer?
For summer, for top of summer, like what are your early summer songs that you know it's summer when this is either in your ear or it's referenced?
There's certain songs that make me feel warm, right?
Okay.
And I don't know if it's the sound of it or if it's the time that it came out or where I was listening to it, but Nelly Furtado's Loose, that album is an album that makes me feel... I remember being in Atlanta listening to it. It was cold, and I remember it would make me feel warm because it made me think of Miami, like Glow, Promiscuous, Man-Eater.
Yes.
It just feels hot and like steamy and like, but like muggy almost.
Yes, there was a mugginess to that production. You know what? So when I think about the summer and I think about early connections to the summer, there, as of right now, there's this India Shawn EP called The Outer Limits that always makes me feel like the beginning of summer. So for anyone listening that's never heard the Outer Limits EP by India Shawn and James Fauntleroy, please give that one a listen. It is a favorite of mine, and it always is on rotation, especially at the beginning of every summer. But another one, and another thing that I really think of Janet's All For You, and I think of Kylie's Love at First Sight.
Love at First Sight is a very summery song.
Yes.
Very summery song. Very, very summery song.
It takes me right there.
Every time. Someone to Call My Lover.
Yes.
By Janet also.
Yes. Actually, all of those All For You singles just remind... It's just that summer...
Except for Son of a Gun.
Son of a Gun is... Yeah, that's the only, like, quarter three. But everything else
and doesn't really matter.
No, that feels summer to me. I mean, it feels like it's August, but it's summer. Like, it's...
That's what I mean.
Yeah. It's dead. Yeah, that feels right there.
That was still a bright one.
It feels right there.
Also, California Girls by Katy Perry feels very summery to me.
Teenage Dream. That whole era.
Teenage Dream feels so... And yes, because Last Friday Night is very summery as well.
That whole suite was great for her. Even getting into that girl from Queens, Nicki Minaj, like... Super Bass, summer.
Super Bass feels summer. And Starships feels summery too.
Extreme summer. Like, I can't take it away from her.
Anaconda feels summery too, I will say that too.
It was. I think about that VMA drop. I think about that all those performances. That last performance that Lorianne did with her and Lil Wayne. That was before that though. That was, I believe, at the AMAs. I remember it was the first time she twerked and it looked realistic.
They gonna get you.
I know. But like I said in the tagline, if you've ever been attacked by a barb, this may be a show for you.
Whoever has dated a barb and has been personally victimized by a barb.
So both, okay? And we don't want to get into that part of the show. That's for the After Dark portion of the program. Because I too have been attacked and I too have gotten my reparations out of a barb. But
never again. # never again. Anyway, though.
Yeah, anyway.
Back to the number one song which you perform.
Right, back to the number one song that you perform, which is difficult to get. Not everyone has it to their credit.
Speaking of her, Mariah.
Okay, always.
Fantasy is also very summery to me.
Fantasy is very summery.
And Honey.
And Honey. And I have been reflecting, because I even played when you first got here. Glitter is now streaming again.
Loverboy is so summer.
I've just meant the fact that Glitter's streaming again in time for summer. You know?
But Glitter wasn't a bad album. Glitter was just a bad timing.
Yes, awkward timing. But again, when I think about and go back to the conversation, every 20 years, just like everything, music is cyclic. And so there's something when the pendulum swings so far, super bubblegummy, right at a turbulent time. Because the Y2K era happened, again, 9/11 happened. That's a big time where to be so sanitized and so bubblegum. But the same thing is to say of how the 80s transitioned. It was an extremely political time, but it had an extreme kind of sanitized nature on mainstream. Look at the 60s, as political as it was of a time in the 60s, and how the Supremes got to exist as number one pop girl group in the era in black. You know, like just how those dynamics every 20 years seem to always present themselves. War, terror, reconstruction, revolution, revolt, all kind of happen as mainstream gets skewed a lot more sanitized, and or it feels squeaky clean again. But that's when a lot of the outliers happen. So it's interesting to really think about how we're at the start of something else that's already happened in history, but it's happening again, but for the first time. Because never have they had this digital age, never have they had the access, never can we start from scratch and then begin to publish, even, this program here. It's just the idea that it gets to be, what do we do with the immediacy? So far, we're receiving it, and it's hard for us to digest. But what do we do? We'll see what happens, but what happens from here?
I mean, I think too. I think what's the good thing that's come out of, because obviously, I think I see a lot of people talk about like the burnout and like just seeing things on a loop. But I will say, especially with stuff like this, if it wasn't for the internet and people on Twitter, the story would look completely different.
Yes.
So it's like a double-edged sword, because on one hand it is a lot of stuff at once that I don't think our brains can naturally handle at this point, right? But also, again, we wouldn't know what the actual story is, because the way the mainstream media shows you things, it's very like typical or very standard. They don't really go into actual things of what's going on. It's very like a specific type of messaging.
Agreed.
And to that also is the good and bad thing about the internet, because then some people who really want to focus in on one message, even if it's the bad thing, they can find so much of that too. So it's all good and bad. But I appreciate at least, or I'm grateful at least, that, because like the stuff that is happening now, we wouldn't even be able to see it. Imagine if we only had the news to discern what's happening.
Even thinking about how fast things are progressing with these protests. During the Rodney King riots, think of how much happened that we didn't see in real time, that didn't get translation. How many injustices that might have occurred.
And really, the only reason that became a thing was because the footage was released.
Yeah.
If the footage was never released, or if it was just a headline, it wouldn't have had the same type of impact.
And history only gets to tell the certain stories of, which part of the footage that becomes, that immediate surface. Yeah, that canvas.
The framing always is the key.
So it's just interesting to think about it and finding a way to be hopeful in this time of turmoil and still dance through it all, because I can't live in a world where I can't dance. I can live in a world where I understand the confusion of I don't have answers right now. That's one thing. But a world where I can't even dance through it or use dance as a form of response or even as catharsis, therapy. I don't know how to do that. So that's why even when considering this platform or anything in general, I always think about what feels relevant and what feels close. And the thing that always feels close is one, already being so intimate with it to where the newness of today doesn't shift you from your center, but understanding it in the way to where you can find mechanisms to kind of metabolize those feelings. Like living alone in a confined space in kind of the epicenter of where this recent COVID thing has taken over. Like there are so many isolating things, but then what happens, because outside of my window I hear birds chirping, but on the other side of that I can literally see the entire day of what's happening. So it becomes, and hear sirens, so it becomes that kind of, it's polarizing, but then there's a moment where you're like, okay, well, I don't know what to do, but I know that if I process these feelings through music, for me that has always looked like dance or some form of expression, whether it's hands or lip sync or throwing on a pussycat wig or something. Well, I love big hair, so never a pussycat. I actually don't even own a pussycat wig.
Good for you.
Yeah, I don't own a pussycat wig. But something to where I get to express. So that's why I always want to make sure that everything has their breath to it, because we need that. That's how I process. Someone else has to process similarly and or it can find resonance with it.
I don't think how I process. I mean, for me, it's like I think the main thing that's always been my saving grace is being able to take whatever comes to me, into me, around me, and put it through my brain, heart, mind, and then push it out as art. That's been always the way I can kind of like see the world, and or at least deal with the different things that are in the world, because it's always been crazy. This is just on like crack or whatever, but like, cause it's the frequency of it, but crazy things have happened in our lifetime.
Yes.
And will continue to. But I think for me, it's always been the fact that I can. It's never just something that's just going to happen to me. I always can have a say of what it is, or what it means to me, or what it feels like, or like it's never just something that, it's never going to be a one-sided kind of thing with whatever's happening to me. At least that's what gets me through that, and I do feel grateful that I have that, because there are a lot of people that don't have something that they can go to and express themselves.
Yeah.
About anything or whatever it is. Yeah.
So I want to thank you for coming, sitting here. Like I said,
know.
I do want to thank you. I'm grateful that you're here. I love our conversations and our time together.
I love our conversations too. I've been taking advantage of this quarantine.
Okay.
Well, everybody knows it. Well, everybody that knows me knows it.
Okay.
Because I have been taking advantage of not having to go anywhere.
But that's any day that you don't have to go anywhere.
No, but before it was like y'all wouldn't let me go more than a week.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now I had an excuse all this year. I was like, no, I ain't going nowhere. I was so happy. It's like, I ain't going nowhere.
Let the record show, Kendrick does not enjoy public exposure. He does not enjoy
It's not that I love it. I was gonna say public exposure. That's not the name of Jessica Simpson's song.
Oh no.
Also a summer song.
A perfect summer bop, A Public Affair by Jessica Simpson is absolutely a summer bop.
About that. Yes,
a forever fave for the summer. Yes.
But yeah, I like going out sometimes. It's just I don't like going out all the time.
Okay. But you wouldn't go out before. Like, you enjoy being offered places to go and then declining. Like, you specifically text me.
Yeah, I like.
You're like, you miss being able to turn me down and go to Trappy because you just.
Wait, that was you was supposed to tell people that. On the recording, you was.
Yeah.
But yes, I do enjoy.
Like, you would personally enjoy not coming out with me. Like, you would enjoy the invitation just to decline.
Because I want to feel wanted. I feel like I wanted to be there, but also my energy is not set up like that.
Okay.
And y'all know it. I wake up on 40%. So, but I do also like going out sometimes. So yeah, I've been taken advantage of. So I'm glad. Even I said all that to say that I'm glad that I have been getting out more again.
Okay.
Like, this is the second time I've seen you since this year started.
This is second or third?
It's the second.
Okay.
No, it's the.
I feel like it's the third.
No, it's the second. It's just that first time felt like quick. Twice because we talked to me, you, and CJ, and then we went to the park.
That's true.
So it felt like 2 times, but that was 1 time.
And then me getting the mask.
And then you saw me when I was walking over here.
Yeah.
So it felt like a bunch of different times. That was all one day.
And then we FaceTime. Well, I FaceTime you.
I hate FaceTime.
You answer my FaceTime calls sometimes.
Sometimes, but it just be like, yo, I be throwing that phone. I be like, yo, my mom wants to FaceTime me. I'm like, girl, no.
We want to see your face.
Why it look the same?
Actually,
it looks worse.
Well, you said it, not me. But I.
Yeah. I'd be like, no, girl, I am not FaceTiming you. In the beginning, though, I was doing good, though.
Yes.
But after a while, when everybody was like, oh, he's FaceTiming this, FaceTime him now, all of them was like, nah.
You know, I think I FaceTimed you this morning, and you were like, no. Or no, it was yesterday or sometime.
I was like, nah. Yeah. But I tell people, I had to tell, Naquan called me before, it was like 11. I was like, so I'm answering this because I'm letting you know, because I may have not let you know, but everybody else knows I am unavailable before noon for anything. It don't matter what's happening.
That's funny. No, that's it. That's literally perfect.
But yeah, I'm glad to be getting back out. Because regardless of what's happening with this Corona stuff, I do think.
Well, Corona magically disappeared the last few days.
So it did not.
Or
the sequel is always the worst thing, and Mama's gonna come back, and it's gonna be hell to pay. Mm-hmm. People are not. People didn't really kind of stop living their life in general, right? In the beginning. So the fact that it's nice outside, you think people are going to stay home?
That on top of just already frustration with not hearing consistent things from the government. 1 week it's do this, and then the next week there's a different urgency. We know that, but again, it's different.
It was actually on us to kind of spend those first 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks.
No, but that's fine. But imagine like week 8, and then everything kind of like.
No, we all kind of, or enough of us didn't do it in the beginning, so it was like.
That's true too.
It is what it is, and then on top of that, because to me it's like they're incompetent.
Yeah.
So we have to basically do the work for them. Like they're the parent that we have to basically like put to sleep when they get drunk at night.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, but I am I'm happy to start to get back out more, or at least figure out, because I tell other people this, at least figure out what this looks like for me, because what I'm realizing is this is not ever going to end. Yes. At least for the next next year or so. So
and even
I have to figure out what this looks out.
Different.
Yeah. It's never going to be the same. So you have to figure out what this looks like for me throughout this, because you can't not be around people that you care about.
Or even the ones who you might not necessarily care about and work with. Because even thinking about now in this platform and conversation, the urgency of me wanting to get it out is one, because it's been on my heart and on my brain for so long, and so I have so many facets that I want to share of so many things. And so at heart it became mostly about just initially sparking and starting, because there are so many things, but two, I've been often able to sell myself in person. I love being in person. I love to engage, when we're in a room and when we're working a room, what needs to be done, and I'm there to do it, and I'm excited. But that's that immediacy of that's not a guarantee that I can kind of plan to lean on in the next few. Like, that's a natural skill. That's one of those, like,
it's gonna look different anyway.
It does. And so here we are. And I want to begin this conversation. This conversation is rhetoric, and I also have so many things to share. There's so many people I'm excited to bring onto this platform so that I can spend time picking their brains. I can't wait to future shows where we get to talk about collections and announce, other good tidbits and content pieces that people would love to receive. Because there is a visual component. There are so many other live components. There are so many live shows and footages of moments that I can't wait to recall.
Footages.
Yeah, footages. I have so many stories documented already and soon to come just about this fantastically, obsessive, absurd, ridiculous life that I've led. From the artists that have inspired me, from the moments that have inspired me, from the moments that I have championed and willed and worked my way and have thus turned into an incredible life with the inclusion of. So I'm excited. So if you can still hear the sound of my voice, 1, I thank you. 2, I welcome you back again. And 3, it's been fun on the air. Make sure you tell a friend. You can listen to this show anytime, every time, always on Anchor. That's anchor.fm/on Kyere, ONKYERE. That's me. You're there. We're here. We're together. Thank you again, Kendrick, for coming. We're going to wrap this up because there's more to do. I think I kind of want Popeyes again. I'm kind of hungry.
Again?
I do, but I do want to put this out just so it could be there in existence, because the revolution must be at least audibly recorded, if not televised. But we'll televise it soon enough.
Eventually.
No, soon enough. Eventually takes so long. Thank you all for listening. Again, you can subscribe and listen to future episodes. Well, if you can hear the sound of my voice, you know exactly where to find them because you're already there. So I thank you for your ears and your time. Very soon, peace and love. We're out.
Bye. Bye.